Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. Fascinating study we're going to get into by Stephen Jacobs, PhD, University of Chicago, where he did a study of like 5,677 biologists, and 96% agreed that life begins at fertilization. So, this would strongly enhance the pro-life position. So let's look at this. A study found 80% of Americans say biologists should decide the question of when life begins. And when more than 5,500 biologists were then asked that question, 96% affirmed life begins at fertilization. Stephen Jacobs, PhD, completed his doctoral dissertation research, final publication pending, but an earlier version can be read here, and they would let you read it. Recently, at the University of Chicago, but only after a decade of investigation that ultimately led to his final study titled Balancing Abortion Rights and Fetal Rights. And so one of the quotes he included in his study comes from an anonymous academic biologist who said, "The abortion debate comes down to the question of whether we think personal autonomy is more important than the life of a human being." So for the first part of his research, Jacobs went to the Supreme Court in 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. For a list of experts, Jacobs surveyed a sample of 3,883 Americans who were given the choice of biologists, religious leaders, voters, philosophers, or Supreme Court justices as the group experts most qualified to begin when life begins. According to the study, the sample was predominantly pro-choice, 62%, liberal, 63%, socialist, 54%, and Democrats, 66%. Of the participants, 63% were college graduates, 57% female, 43% male. Results showed 80% of Americans selected biologist. 95% confidence interval, 79 to 81%, as the group to answer the question, when life begins. Pro-choice participants, 86%, were more likely to select biologists than pro-life participants, 69%. So I followed that up with an open-ended question. Why did you select that group? Jacob said. And 92% they selected biologists because they're experts in science and they're objective scientists. So then the researcher then took survey questions to 5,577 biologists from over 1,000 academic institutions in 86 countries. According to the study, the sample biologists were predominantly non-religious, 63%. 89% were liberals, 11% conservative, 92% were Democrats, 8% were Republicans, 85% were pro-choice, and 15% were pro-life. And okay, so just all kinds of stuff. Overall, the study found 96% of biologists, and remember, 85% overall, affirm the view that human life begins at fertilization. And a 2018 Marist poll found that regardless of political affiliation, more Americans view life as beginning at conception than any other point during pregnancy. Of those surveyed, 47% said life begins at conception, 15% said first trimester, 10% second trimester, 14% at viability outside the womb, and 10% said life begins at birth. So this really, again, helps us get clarity on the pro-life position, and that it's not something arbitrary, and it's not even life outside the womb, and but it begins at fertilization. So I just thought that may be a piece of information that most of our viewers, most would be Christians, I do get quite a bit of atheists on here too, that you might find interesting. And believe it or not, there is a large atheist pro-life movement. I've been fascinating discovering it all over the internet. It's shocked me. So we'll talk with you later. God bless you in Jesus' name.